4:30.
Well, it is a snapshot of who the victims are and what law enforcement is doing about it. New at 9, a new statewide report on domestic violence. Our Henry Rossoff in the newsroom right now with details on what at least one lawmaker says is missing from this report. Interesting, Henry.
Yes, it is. And this report paints a grim picture of how widespread the domestic violence problem is in the state of Wisconsin, especially here in southeastern Wisconsin. With a backdrop of the Azana Salon shooting only months ago, a new report by the Wisconsin Department of Justice outlines the domestic violence problems in the state of Wisconsin. Released Monday afternoon, it shows a slight decrease in domestic violence reported to authorities between 2010 and 2011.
It's always good news when you see the reports of domestic violence going down.
But the report also paints a startling picture of a problem affecting primarily 18 to 29-year-olds. It's also predominantly a Milwaukee County crisis, with more than 8,000 incidents right here at home. That's 28% of all domestic abuse cases statewide. And while law enforcement officials in Wisconsin make arrests 71% of the time when they get called to a domestic violence incident, Milwaukee County officials make an arrest only 56% of the time. Still of greatest concern to Milwaukee Democrat John Richards is the report itself.
The report sidesteps the issue of guns in domestic violence, and we know, tragically from the Azana shooting, that guns and domestic violence are a lethal combination.
Richards says he's designing legislation that'll tackle the issue of gun access for people with restraining orders.
We are working with building a coalition right now to bring this legislation forward, and working with law enforcement and domestic abuse advocates to work together on a package on reforms that would help keep domestic abuse victims safer.
And as you may have seen, Fox 6 has teamed up with a number of groups to help combat domestic violence through a public service campaign. So we have plenty of information how to find help if you're in a domestic violence situation on our website, fox6now.com. Live in the newsroom, Henry Rossoff, Fox 6 News.
And here's that information Henry was talking about. In case you need information or are a victim of domestic violence, you can call the Sojourner Family Peace Center. That's 414-933-2722, or the Women's Center at 262-542-3828.
Workers who lost their job at Waukesha's Golden Guernsey plant finally getting some